welcome to Ask Women. It's Kirsten, Carney, comedian, host of this podcast for a very long time. Here, of course, with Marni, Kinrys, owner of WinGirlMethod.com. And today we have a dating expert for the elite, so clearly for our listeners.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Cassell, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Seriously,
tell
it's a
us
real
about
pleasure.
it. Have you talk a little bit closer though to the mic.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
We
we're
do
gonna.
like-
You're British too. So.
Yeah, we can understand you, so we need you to be extra loud.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's good. Thank
So
you.
tell us about dating help for the elite. What does this mean?
Well, typically, a lot of my clients are they're high net worth individuals.
Okay.
They've either come from privileged backgrounds or they've amassed great wealth by being very successful at what they do. They're now in a position where, they've made the sacrifices in their dating and social life to be where they are. So now they bring myself and my team in to kind of increase the learning curve in the areas that they've.
You know what this tells me right off the get-go? That just because you have a gajillion dollars doesn't mean dating's going to be easy for you. It'll be easier, being that you might be able to woo someone with things, but they're still looking for
It's
help.
still challenging.
Absolutely.
Well, is that true actually? Is it easier?
Well, look, money definitely helps you get access to certain experiences, events, but essentially you've got to know what the hell to do with it, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of people that I know that some of my clients, they've never actually worked a day in their life, right? I had
Bunch
a
of
client,
assholes.
Yeah.
Right.
In my head, it's like douchebag.
Yes, we work with assholes.
I had a client that, he was in a moment of depression, so he went to the casino, he maxed out 2 credit cards, and
Was his limit $200 on those credit cards, like mine?
250 grand he lost at the casino.
Damn.
Right, but this is a guy that has no concept of money, and he wakes up every day and he's just sort of staring at the ceiling and he's behaving like a retired person because he has no
I think
purpose.
I said retarded person. I was like, yes, totally.
So, with people like that, you've got to develop them in certain ways that they have an attractive lifestyle and they're waking up and they're striving to be something and do something and develop ambition, because for a woman, that's obviously most attractive, right? Doesn't matter
Right.
how many notes you've got in your bank account, it's about that ambition.
Right. Even if the ambition is to spend all the money that you have in
At
a
least
fun,
that's ambition.
in a fun,
That I think
passionate,
is
in a
pretty
fun,
good,
passionate
actually.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but in like a fun way, aside from like staring at the ceiling, being retired, and not knowing what
But
to
at
do with
least it's a
yourself.
good-looking ceiling, no matter what. It's not
Oh,
like they
yeah.
have that like popcorn ceiling, like in my
And if
old
it is, they
apartment.
fix it.
Yeah.
10 times they'll fix it over
It's a
and
nice
change it up.
ceiling.
Make it popcorn again and get rid of it again. So tell me what some of the major struggles are for a lot of these guys. But they hire you for. Like, what are they
Well,
asking you to help them with?
Okay, so they're not a special case, right? They are just like us.
Oh, we don't know each other that well. You don't know what us is.
Well, slowly.
I think
we'll,
I've made it clear.
like they fall into the friend zone. They can't make their intentions clear to the woman. They are not attracting women with a lifestyle that seems to be desirable, which is ridiculous because they can. They may not know how to dress. They may be just too square because they've lived the corporate lifestyle for so long. Their friendship circle.
Typical things.
Yeah, this is. Everyone has these problems. This is like.
What are you doing to make them less square? Or to help their dress or.
Well, help them express themselves. That's definitely something that we do with them. Like, we do work on their style and their image, their presentation, their branding. Like, get them in the mindset of, like, you are a brand, and what message are you putting out there right now? And I really get them to think about that. And then I get them to think about what sort of women do you want to attract. So in a marketing world, it's like, what sort of audience do you want to attract through your shop window? If you look at social media, that's exactly how I describe it. I go, right, you've got to look at it like this. Like, social media is like a high street, right? And every woman is just window shopping. When she's looking through the window, what is she seeing? What are you communicating? Yeah, and if you haven't got, we're all in the online dating game, right? Wherever you're on like Tinder, Bumble, or whatever new app is around the corner, if you're on social media, you're on the online dating game. So forget like this, I don't do social media. No, you get on there, man. Like, we've got the tools today that have never been around before, which celebrities have always had access to, and they're great publishing tools. So manage that space, be a good shopkeeper and attract who you want. But I think you need to spend time really building that archetype of the sort of woman you want, work out what her character traits are, what she spends her time doing, and really understanding which I really go into depth with is Maslow's hierarchy, right? Which is our essential needs that we're drawn towards. So I get a lot of these guys to actually...
That's exactly what we talked about in the last episode.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how about that? Nice little carry on.
Yeah.
So it's really tapping into these things to communicate to audience, like, right, this is someone that I can see myself being with or having sex with or whatever, you know?
You know what I think is a lot of I stereotype. That's like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I judge and I stereotype.
Very difficult not
and
to.
Very
it's so hard way.
But when I think of these elite dudes dating and they're having a hard time dating, they seem to go toward women that aren't classy women. They're women that are looking for money. And it seems like that's where they're going. And those women seem to me, jump that hierarchy of needs. So it's like, you know, the base of the hierarchy of needs is like, first you have like food and water, and then like shelter and whatever the order is. But it seems like these women, like, they don't have all that stuff, and they're immediately jumping to the highest point on the hierarchy of needs. And that's why they're going to these rich guys, because it's like, it just seems, and basically what I'm saying with that is like, it doesn't seem like they're going toward a woman that would have a stable foundation to then build a relationship toward. So are you trying to direct them toward
That's
women
a really
that
good
are
point.
more quality?
Absolutely. So, you know, it's what's so stereotypical of these men is when they do get the ability, they just tend to, you know, go for the younger girl who hasn't really got much going on. She's easier to control. A lot of his decision is ego-based. And so by spending time with them, building that archetype up, I mean, that's the essential thing I need to do, because that's something they haven't done. So therefore they just go back to default mode in terms of the young girl.
Right,
you know?
and it seems just more of like the obvious choice. It's almost like
there's
like for a woman, if there's something on the shelf and it's glittery and sparkly, we're gonna go to that, and it seems like that's how the dude goes to that younger girl. And so it just seems like they're not gonna have success. So are you finding these dudes are having success, like with the women that you're kind of hooking them up with, or are you seeing them kind of come and go a lot?
I mean, you know, it depends what stage they're at. Right? I had a guy that's been with me for some years now, and he just has me on an annual retainer, and it's not about meeting women anymore. It's about lifestyle. Like in actual fact, like my company's moved so far from being originally about, okay, I can teach you how to meet women on the street or in the club, to, you know, let's construct a complete tailored lifestyle. So, you know, meeting women is just a byproduct of what you're already enjoying.
Right.
And you know what? Like, that's the way it really should be. It should not be about, oh, you know, Sunday afternoon's free, let's go and run around on Hollywood Boulevard and chase a couple of tourists down. Like, no, that's called sexual harassment, right? That's not cool. I mean, there is obviously a classy and tasteful way to do it, so I'm not, you know, completely dismissing that. But that's not my message. My message is to help guys meet women that are in a line with their environments, align with their values for the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so before you came here, my assistant had asked you what you wanted to speak about or what you could speak well towards, and you had said dating models and tens, and I forget what the other one was. Sexual communication, is that what it was?
Communicating your sexual desires.
Right. So okay. So let's talk about that.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Aren't those just boners? Isn't that communication? I communicated. There it is.
It's about body language. You reading it?
Read between these lines. That's really dumb.
Well, here's the thing. This is something I'm really sort of talking quite openly about with a lot of people right now, and I feel that, you know, there's many reasons for divorce. But I feel like one of the big reasons for divorce is we are too afraid to communicate our desires inside the relationship. Therefore, we end up communicating outside the relationship. And I just want to be more vocal about this and give people strength and be brave about communicating what their desires and fantasies are, and actually create a platform where they can actually explore that inside the relationship, not be judgmental. It may be quite hard to hear, like what someone actually has been thinking about.
Yeah, like
little
boys.
Well, that's oh God.
Oh, sorry.
I just wish she's
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's like if it's something, sometimes it's something can hit you where you're like, holy, that's a little.
Yeah.
Right, but here's the deal, like, you know, these things don't have to necessarily be explored. It's just that if you oppress anything for so long, it needs to come out, right?
And if you don't express it, then eventually when it comes out, it'll come out in the worst, most negative way.
That's exactly my point. So it might be that, you know, just expressing those desires is enough, and you may not even want to, or your partner wants to act upon it. They just want that relief or going, oh, I finally got that out of my chest. I feel like I'm not hiding anything. I can be my true self.
Or I've heard it out loud and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Right? Because the thing is that when things are in your head, it can manifest all these different levels that, you know, you can take it from 0 to a million quadrillion because anything's possible inside your brain, but when you say it out loud, then it's real and you're like, oh, maybe I don't actually want to do this. Or maybe I really do want to do this, or even more so, it's convincing you that, yes, this is something I want to do.
Yeah, and I think with that as well is I think like if like, you know, sex is like a big thing in your life, in your relationships, then I think that's something you need to be qualifying someone on right from the get-go, right? And as crazy as this sounds, I mean, listen, I've just come out of a long-term relationship, and you know, the women that I'm talking to, whether they're in the bar or whatever, like a few sentences in, I'm sexually qualifying. Because
so what does that mean?
And
well, I need to know if like, you know, their desires are on the same page.
Let's see how high your light can go.
I mean,
that's the qualification.
You know, if you say like, what's your sexual fantasy?
Okay, so wait, this is right when you're talking to a girl in a bar for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I build rapport, and I feel like there's a lot of comfort going. And I go, I'm really curious, and I sort of slow down, like, and I look him in the eyes, and I go, "What's your sexual fantasy?" Right? And some people, I mean,
a guy not asking me about my sexual fantasy in the bar.
Yeah, that's
right. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Like, you'd be very surprised how people are very like relieved to actually open up about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Marni always we used to talk a lot about awakening the primal brain, which basically means just hearing something that's different.
Right.
And so
breaking
when if you said that, I will be honest. So when I walked out, and you're both very attractive men. So there's a friend along here.
Here we go.
Both wearing black and white, but in the opposites. You guys are like a checkerboard. Like it's adorable.
Why did we not even see that?
It's that uniform.
I could upgrade it and say a chessboard, but I haven't known you long enough to give you that much credit. You know what I mean? So I'll go checkerboard.
He's an elite coach.
But he is an elite coach. But when I walked out, you're both very attractive. But I saw you first, the friend, and then I saw our guest second, and you gave me like a look of like, you looked almost like, to me, it was like a James Bond spy look.
Oh, stuff.
Yeah, you did. And it's like, and I knew you were British, and there's, of course, for American girls, we're like, ooh, Brits, and like, it's the accent thing. But I think if someone like you were to ask me that, I would be okay with it because of the aura. Like, you had this little, like, your collar's unbuttoned, but to me, it doesn't read super douche. Because sometimes that, to me, could read super douche, but you can pull it off, I think, in a classy way. Because I like your shoes and your, like, tighter jeans.
Keep these coming. I'm going to
No, but where's the point here?
No, but what I'm getting to is that if someone like you said something like that to me, I would find it entertaining and interesting and funny, and I would play with it and banter with you. But if another guy, the dude who maybe smells like beef jerky, and like might not
you're not in that mind
the
space
New
anyway.
York Yankees
and all of a sudden he's like, what are your sexual desires? I would be like,
that's not what I'm talking about right now.
Like calling the cops, that's my biggest desire.
But here's the deal, and it's, you know, with that, it's about like, you know, you have to read people, you have to get to reading people, engage like, okay, like, is this person super conservative? Is she ready for me to drop this sort of comment, or do I have to build a bit more rapport here
I think,
and get rid of the beef jerky?
I think it's build the rapport, but it's also build something within yourself also first before you step into that zone. Because the beef jerky guy is just like got one part of his shirt's untucked, the other part's tucked in, and he's just like, oh, what's your sex? He hasn't gotten the charisma or the right energy behind it.
Absolutely, it's about coming from a place of certainty, right? Because you women, like, you can sniff a guy out that is coming from a place of doubt.
Yeah.
And that's important.
In a gas station, you can always smell them when they're coming from a gas station. You can, yeah.
Where are you reading these guys?
I'm not meeting anyone yet. These are all made up losers for me. But I will meet them eventually.
Tinder. That's where she's finding
Oh, Jesus.
No, I'm not on there anymore.
What's the dating app that's really rocking over here in the US now?
Bumble,
right?
That's like I think the one. But a lot of people use like the League. The woman who's just here before you, she met her husband on the League.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I think Hinge is maybe. And actually, I got an email from Hinge like 2 weeks ago saying I was up for being one of their most eligible in Los Angeles.
Oh, smart marketing.
But I didn't do it on purpose. But I got an email. I haven't used Hinge in like a year, and I only used it for like 2 months. And they said that I had a very high amount of likes and like positive feedback or something. And so I was thrown into the mix of.
Maybe it's connected to your Uber.
It's just like 5-star in like your dates and stuff, right? I want to talk about
yeah, 5 stars got me there really quickly. Nice car.
I want to tap into what you were talking about, like, because there's a lot of there's a misconception about it being easy for Brits to come over here with American girls, and I think like
Yeah.
you know, it's like if you have a certain edge about you, it will certainly give you attention, but it doesn't define your success. And I just want to like put
It's
that
not
out
for a
there.
long haul.
Right,
Yeah.
you've got to be very skilled still about, you know, your game, your transition, your ability to build rapport and trust. You know, it's not it's not all
The
big
accent is a foot in the door.
It is a foot in the door. And
yeah.
before we
But it
started
doesn't define your
taping,
success.
before we started taping, I said I went out on a date with a dude from London, and
Right.
he was super cute and adorable, but it didn't equate to chemistry or the right match
Yeah.
by any means.
Well, I wanted you to continue some of the qualifiers of ways that you express your sexual desires or needs to women.
Marni, talk
Or-
more to the mic.
Sorry, yeah. Where you qualify women.
Well, like, you know, if you're in a stage of life where you want to, you know, explore your sexuality, right, and I don't know, go and try this, that, and the other out, you know, go to these sex parties or whatever it is, right?
There's a sex show downtown, by the way.
Is it
Dan, can
in
you
the
get the details?
convention center?
I don't know where it is, but somebody just told me about it because my birthday is coming up, and she's like, "Oh, we should go to the sex show." I was like, "Yes, we should."
Like a
I don't know.
It's-
It's not like a ping pong show like in Thailand, but I think it's like a voyeuristic experience where I don't know if people are actually like
It's
like
having sexual
Amsterdam.
penetration. I have no idea, but I'll be finding out on my
Wow.
birthday. Anyway, continue.
So I'm a bit kind of flabbergasted. What were we talking about?
Qualifying.
I can't remember.
Oh, qualifying. Right. So yeah, like if you've got, you know, for example, say that you're in a stage of life where you want to explore these parties or whatever, or on a cliche, have a threesome, right? Well, then you may just sort of include in your language when you talk to someone like, you know, what's the craziest thing you've ever done? And you go, okay, what about sexually, right? And if it's like, I did doggy style, then you know, right? It's not on the same page, you know. So it's about communicating that from the early stage of like, okay.
How do you communicate then? Just talk in threes a lot? I don't know. How do you?
Well, so I basically talk about my philosophy about removing shame from communicating your desires and consequences, and see how they respond to that first of all, and see if that really resonates with them. And if that resonates with them, then I know that I can have more of an open conversation about sex and stuff that they've explored, stuff that I've explored, and see if there's anything that there's still that they would like to do, right? And then it gives you a platform to think, oh, okay, this could be actually quite interesting,
Right.
or this she's gone too far down the rabbit hole, this is too much for me,
Right.
you know. So I'm just
Well,
really.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I want a threesome. I don't want.
I don't want to be some guy.
Oh, I was like, what?
So yeah, I'm just like, you know, it's something that I'm really kind of like talking a lot about at the moment, about like, come on man, let's just, you know, because there's a lot of advice out there. It's like, oh, you know, it's about, you know, a good relationship is about communication, but what is that? So I'm just trying to unpack that a little bit more in different areas so people can really understand that a little bit more.
Okay, well that's helpful because what you're actually expressing is not even about being in a relationship. It's just an interaction between two people. Whether you're in a long-term relationship
Yeah.
or you've met them and 5 minutes in, you're clicking with them in a certain way and saying like, what is your fantasy?
Yeah, and here's the thing as well, like, you know, in like long-term relationships, like you could experience some sort of monotony sexually as well. So like if you know, qualify
Well,
someone
there's
like
a
that,
reason
then
Someone
you know,
spice things up.
yeah.
There's a reason monotony sounds like monogamy.
Yeah.
Get
Yes. Continue.
That's all. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty good insight.
Exactly. That is true.
Monotony,
Well,
monogamy.
that is what happens
One and the
until
same.
you do become a little bit more vulnerable and you can express certain desires. The problem is that some people don't even know what their desires are. So, for
That's
example,
true.
if
Yeah.
you were to come up to me at a bar and say, "What are your sexual fantasies?" I would probably go, "I don't know.
Me
Just
too.
someone to like grab me and kiss me." Like that's all that I would
Yeah,
say.
but that's fine, and you get women like that haven't really like opened that area of their mind up. And you know what's really crazy? So this is like by having these sort of conversations, like you can really help people as
and
well.
get them thinking.
Yeah, I mean, so I was in London and I was at this juice spot like Joe and the Juice. Do you have this here, Joe and the Juice?
Mm-mm.
It's like a juice spot, and you know, some Saudi lady actually opened me. She was like 31. She oh, do you know the Wi-Fi password, or have you got a charger, or some crap?
Yeah.
I was like,
Typical line.
Yeah, like drop a pencil. Oops.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Anyway, so I go, okay, so what's your story, blah, blah, blah. I found out she's from Saudi, and found out she's 31 years old, she's a virgin. She was studying over in the UK, but never had a date because she always attached guilt to doing such a thing. So I started really exploring the idea, I started talking about, you know, how does the woman feel when a guy brings in, you know, the other wife in their culture? She's like, oh, we hate it. I go, oh, interesting. I started comparing it with, like, polyamorous sort of like relationships, and I was sharing her the concept of how that works, and I started using the same sort of language, like what would you allow yourself to do if there were no consequences, what would you allow yourself to experience if you removed shame from the equation? And it was just like those.
I can't, I'm Jewish.
Right. But there was just like those group of words really unlocked a certain part of her mind. And then I was somewhere in Europe doing a workshop, and then I got a message out of her. She goes, "Johnny, when can I see you again?" I was like, "What's the matter?" Like, I was like getting a bit worried. I was like, "Well, I'm back on this day." Anyway, I met up at the same sort of place. She goes, "Johnny, you changed my life." I go, I was expecting like, "Oh my God, she's." Yeah.
Yes. All your advice and.
It's totally different. My life has changed.
Yeah.
Very
You
different.
bugger. And she goes, "I went to a singles party, and I gave a guy my number."
That's amazing.
And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
and I was
for
like,
anyone else, that's nothing, but for her, that was huge.
"It's a
huge deal.
big deal."
Yeah.
Right? And then he goes, "The next day I went to another one, and I invited the guy back to, he went back to his house, and I kissed him." And I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, whoa,
I
this
can't
is...
wait to hear number 3.
There
He
was...
touched my
I'm
boob.
pregnant.
There was no number 3, but the next meeting she asked for, she sat me down, she goes, "Johnny, like, I've got a request, and I really just hope you don't think of me in a different way." I go, "What was that?" You know, my ears are pretty like, "What's she going to drop on me now?" She goes, "Will you marry me?"
No.
I said, "You can't be serious,
Monster.
right?" She goes, "Johnny, after what I've experienced, I can't go back to Saudi. Like, I can't go back to Saudi." It's
Oh, so
By the way, I also
really
made a
hard or
Jew
something.
joke regarding a
Well-
Saudi Arabia, which, just for the record, I know they're not Jewish. Just for people
Yeah, this is
listening.
her overanalyzing. You think I'm stupid? I'm gonna clarify.
Yeah, I did. I just
Yeah.
realized we
yeah,
were
just
both
so are you're Jewish, right?
I'm Jewish,
Yeah,
yeah.
see that?
What?
Told you.
I love that. Do you think I'm Jewish?
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
think I'm Jewish sometimes.
You're not?
I'm not, no.
Oh,
Mm.
I knew you were Jewish, yeah.
Yeah, I make
Yeah.
it very obvious.
Super.
Nobody's hiding it in this household.
I got a Judah.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Judah, I love
Judah,
that. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
Isn't that so funny? Like when you meet or you hear 2 Jewish girls speaking, like, "Oh, okay, I met this guy. Oh, is he Jewish though?"
Right.
It's always that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Although my husband's not Jewish, but
Oh.
yeah, I know.
Oh.
That's why I've been kicked out of Judaism.
Wow.
Yeah, no. But so I wanted to go on, continue this conversation to go on to the models and tens that you were talking about, because
Yes.
I love this conversation about like opening people up, because I think that's where you were going. Is like
Yeah.
by you being curious and giving her ways to explore through your own style of conversation and curiosity, you were able to open up her mind, but also unlock her in a way and see her in a way that others have not been able to, which made her infatuated with you, potentially, or maybe wanting just a green card to stay in the UK, I'm not sure about that, but she felt this deep connection to you, that she constantly wanted to update you and be close to you, so
Right.
she can have more of that feeling.
Yeah.
Which I understand how that could transfer over in your dating life with other women that you're actually interested in, rather than just being curious about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about like dating models and tens. Is there a different set of
Well,
rules
first
for
of all,
that?
like, if you, why are we having this conversation? Because men want to learn how to date higher caliber women, right? Let's stop calling them tens, first of all, right? If you are having a problem of putting women on a pedestal based on looks, like, and I don't like to give girls numbers, but this is something that would help you. Just,
start calling a 4?
yeah, exactly, a 4 or a 5, and then it's like, okay, visually, she's a few things on my list, but what else?
Mhm.
It's like, I always describe it like, if it's Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, you come home a little bit drunk or whatever in the family home, and there's this big present under the tree, and you're feeling a bit cheeky. You walk over to it, and you realize it's got your name on it. So you tear a little hole in the top, you have a look in, and you realize it's not what you wanted, right? And that's like looking at a beautiful woman, blessed with good looks, but she just hasn't got any content. She hasn't got anything. But the sad reality is, a lot of guys don't. Where on Christmas Day you just throw that thing in the back of the wardrobe. That's a 20-year relationship for someone. They're just putting up with it.
Yeah,
You know?
that's such a good point.
So what I'm trying to say is, it's all women start at 5. Work out really what it is you're looking for. Your values, and qualify them through conversation.
And let that bring the number up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you
It's-
do this?
I think it's a great way to say it is like put women on porcelain, not pedestals, and by porcelain I mean like on the toilet.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
She
like
poops
that.
too.
Yeah, that's
Like,
actually a really good
that's
idea. Yeah, it humanizes them.
Yeah.
So, and if you want, I guess the big thing is access, right? A lot of people, they put these sort of women on pedestals because they see them in the limelight all the time. They see them in magazines, they see them, on
Getting
TV,
attention, all the
getting
likes on
attention.
Instagram.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that has to be your new normal. So if that is an attractive lifestyle for you, then you need to invest time in getting access to those sort of environments. So that's just normal. You know, it's you know, I'm from a place in the UK called Reading, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you know it.
Mhm.
You
Why,
do?
why do you know that?
Well, because I lived in the UK for
You
a
said,
short
like-
period of time when I was dating somebody who lived
You
in...
did?
Where did he live? Not,
Wait, you were
Not
living in
Essex.
UK?
Where the hell did he live? It was 2 hours outside of London. I do know Reading.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's super
I don't know
random.
anything about it. I just know the name Reading.
So that was my cage I had to escape, right? And that was my normal for a long time, where women were not taking care of themselves. You know, the idea, you know, people's idea of a night out was, you know, getting absolutely battered, like pissed, and then going for like some fast food on the way home and maybe a fight. That'd be a good night.
Yeah.
You may
You know,
know my
like-
ex.
So, you know, that was my cage and I really had to get away from that. And for a long time, like, I was just making that like hour trip in the car to London before I made London my home. And I was just building networks, building friends. And, you know, it wasn't about meeting women. It was about building those access points to then get opportunities to meet the women that I found attractive, right? And you know, I just got a phone to a client today who was like, look, I want to just get laid. I was like, listen, right? When I first started this, I also said the same thing. When I have that attitude, I never got laid. Do you know what I said? I'm going out tonight to meet fun and interesting people because I removed the outcome dependency, I removed the pressure, I focus on being social, and I have a great foundation to meet anyone I want to meet. And when you've got these sort of access points, that's exactly the sort of mindset you want to be in. And don't celebritize people, because, you know, I've spoken to famous people and I'm like, you know, what stops you dating from, you know, dating someone like Joe Blogs, right, in the street, and they go, the moment they remove themselves from the categories, the moment that they put themselves in the fan zone.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's not where you want to be,
No.
ever.
So,
See, if you could have done this with James Franco, you could be
Dear
here.
God, I wish. Holy
Yeah, we were on the
mackerel.
plane with James Franco.
right.
Yeah, we were on a flight with him last week,
Yes.
and now I have a huge crush.
Yes, he is very cute. He's much
Very,
cuter in
very
real life.
charismatic
You
guy.
need to work on your access points.
I know.
Your networking.
I know. Like,
There
here's
you
my
go.
access point. I just go
Yeah.
underneath somehow. Like,
That's
So,
my
but-
access point.
So but with the models, right? So here's some tips. Like, you know, you've got to think of their world. You've got to think, okay, well, who has access to models? So I would make friends with event organisers. I'd make friends with photographers. I'd make friends with PR people. I'd make friends with, you know, club owners, VIP managers. All these people that, you know, I know someone that wanted to get close to who is it? One of the Victoria's Secret models. Why can't I even think of her name? One of the Brazilians. They're all
Her. Let's just
Brazilian.
call her her.
Okay, a Victoria's Secret model, right?
on porcelain.
And
She's on the toilet right now.
she's on porcelain, and his strategy was genius. You know what his strategy was? I'm gonna get.
I'm gonna buy every bra.
yeah. I'm gonna stand out Victoria's Secret for the 6 months. I'm gonna get training from her personal trainer,
Oh, good idea, good in.
and I was like, that is just thinking completely outside the.
But
box,
is that
right?
too specific? Like, what if that fails? Like, what if he goes through all this? So, for example, for me, so there's a man that you might not know named Adam Carolla. He's a comedian. He has a huge podcast. I wanted to co-host his podcast with him for years, and I've narrowed down. It's like when you go to school to become a doctor. That's hard, but there's a gajillion positions for doctors. Whereas what I wanted to do was literally there's one position in the world, one. And so you put all this time and energy in, and then what if it doesn't work out? So for me, for example, I'm his fill-in co-host. I'm not the co-host, I'm close.
Right.
But like with this guy, he puts all his time and energy in to work with her trainer and to all this kind of stuff, and then it turns out she's not interested in him whatsoever. He just put all this time and energy
He
into
gets
one
fit.
person.
He gets a good body at the end.
Is he training other models? You know, like, is there more of an outlet, you know, besides that one person? Because I feel like we've talked about this before, where it's called one-itis,
Yeah, of
where you
course.
see that one person, that's the person, but then...
No, okay, so here's the deal. Like, if you're like, and I've done this as well. Like, I've met a girl in, say, like February, and I've known in an instant that's my next girlfriend, right? And I was so certain about it.
Mhm.
We fast forward into November. I went to her best friend's birthday party and I made her my girlfriend that day, right? And I was so certain about that because I could keep my mind occupied by having other women that I was dating through those other periods. You know,
Wait, so you
loosely
actually
kind
made
of
her
see
your
it.
girlfriend? Like, or in your mind you made her your girlfriend?
Well, first of all, in my mind, I was like,
Her.
Like-
but then you actually, it came true.
yeah.
Okay.
And I've done that several times. Like, I'll literally headhunt, you know, I'll work out like what character traits I'm looking for, position myself, and really understanding that time is your friend. I think a lot of guys mess up where they're just trying to like accelerate.
Dude, okay. We've done like 250 episodes of this podcast and we've never talked about that. I feel like that guys, time is on your side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because men, number one, I feel like get better with age.
Right.
And they don't have to worry as much about the sperm bank. Like, shit's still gonna impregnate somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas, so women, that's something that women really have to worry about. I mean, maybe society tells us to worry about it, but physically, there's actual science that tells us we do have to worry about it.
Right.
Whereas men, you guys have the clock on your side, and so you can be more patient and you can be more relaxed because there's no rush.
I think what goes through a guy's head is, oh, what if I don't get her on a date like this weekend? She's gonna find someone else, and then she's gonna shag someone else. Like, get over that, man. That's ridiculous. Like, if your interaction has left such an impact, right? Consider that. Maybe she's gonna sleep with someone like in between, like now and the 6 months it's gonna take for you to actually convert that into an actual proper relationship. But like, you can't be so insecure of that sort of thing. Like, time really is your friend, you know. And I mean, Jesus, like it's you shouldn't be looking to just get laid so quickly. I mean, look, we can't dismiss like, okay, a lot of relationships, maybe if they fuck on the first night, they turn into a long relationship. That's fine. But like, I feel personally that it's a lot better if you just wait and kind of allow the emotional investment to kick in, right?
Oh, definitely, because then something's still growing.
Right.
In between the first encounter and then potentially when something more happens. Well, the question that I have from what I'm hearing, so let's say you are Jimmy X from Utah who works in some 9-to-5 job or is like a truck driver who doesn't have the time or the know-how to find all these access points.
Because you're too busy with all that beef jerky.
With beef jerky and driving on the road. But like, so how, like I'm trying to figure out like how to take everything that you're saying and put it towards somebody who may not be going after the Victoria's Secret model,
right.
who may just be going after that really cute girl at the truck stop. Like how do you take exactly what you've said to help that person?
Well, in terms of what he just wants to meet the girl at the truck stop, right? Well, I think he's got to make the best of what he's got, you know. And I think it's, again, I was on the phone to a couple of guys before we jumped in here, and I said, I just got off the phone to one guy very quickly. I was like, listen, from what you're telling me is, I'm glad you're working on like making sure you have more resources right now, rather than trying to do a course with me, because I'd rather you repair the relationship you have with yourself before you step into another relationship with someone else. I'm on the woman's side here. I'm on the female side here. I'm trying to get a good deal for the women, right? And that means helping the guys really develop themselves into someone they want to, someone who they are, someone that's worth being with, you know? So that would be the first conversation I have with someone like that. I'd be like, look, I want to build up your self-esteem and confidence, so you are a good long-term investment. And then we can talk about like, how to go after someone like that. But I mean, you know, everyday scenarios like that is, you know, a lot of people overthink the opener all the time. You know, when a simple, like I believe it's like something I've come up with very recently. More often than not, the conversation starts before you even open your mouth. Right? That's with your eyes, right? And
yeah, that was your James Bond look. Right there.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, women. There's so many women in this world right now that are walking around so frustrated with guys that just don't get it. Right? Like if she looks at you, it's on. Just assume it's on. Like she's soon going to tell you if it's not. Yeah. So just take it, man. Just take that gamble.
Yeah. And it's on to approach. It's not on.
Exactly. And you know, like, well, what if she looks at me and looks down? I go, yeah, that's the shy girl. That's the shy girl. You know, not all going to look at you and smile. And go, yeah, I like you. Like, that's a special girl that does that. You know?
Yeah. The other day, I saw that movie that you saw, Lady Bird, and there's the scene where she goes out to the cool kid who's reading his book. He's like mysterious and cool and sexy, and the boss says, I'm not paying you to flirt, the girl, and then he looks up at her and he's like, I wish she were. And it's like very few times, if ever, that's gonna happen. And it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work out where someone's just gonna be so blatant about it. So, and like,
I thought more timid and shy around that.
Yeah, like, I thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, it would be so nice if that was actually just the way people were just so confident and honest. And we're like, yeah, I wish you were flirting with me, because I'm communicating with someone right now. I wish I knew if they were flirting with me or if they weren't.
Yeah.
And I'm too afraid to ask, and I think they're too afraid to say.
Well, that's why you're just being too afraid to ask.
I know.
So I think our time is actually almost out of that. We talked about other stuff, but
Wow,
I wanted
we raced through that.
I know, but I
Raced
wanted
through
to ask you. So what are some differences? Sort of like fixate on the model stuff, but because we don't have a lot of people who typically that is their area of expertise. I do want to know, like, what are some differences when approaching women who are very attractive and who are approached all the time versus, like, you know, other women like Kirsten and myself.
Hey! More your average girls,
Well, I
but
think-
adorable at the
okay,
same
well,
time.
listen,
and
right, so-
wonderful and better
Obviously,
models.
marriage material versus
Yes, versus these cocky bitches who need to be on porcelain
Yes, exactly.
seats.
Well, I guess, look,
What would
You-
be about to say something nice to us?
Oh, I know, yeah. I know, he's trying so hard. He's like, what can I find redeeming? What can I find redeeming?
I'm just kidding. Go on.
I think a guy's general instinct is to actually compliment, you know, like someone of that caliber on her looks, but really that's a pattern that she's expecting.
She's heard it
right?
a gajillion times.
Right.
I've heard it a gajillion times, okay? So
Right.
if I've heard it a gajillion times, so is she.
But here's the deal, like, so it's understanding that these sort of women have been trading off their looks for their whole life,
Yeah.
and what they haven't been sort of validated on is their thoughts and their ideas. So that's something that I like to kind of give guys a few pointers on, like get a conversation where like she can reveal something about herself, and then you validate her on a character
Yeah.
as opposed to, you know, the way that she looks. I mean, I have a friend that, you know, she's a beautiful model. She's like 6 foot tall, and I asked her like, how many relationships you had. She goes, I've had 2. Like, you've had 2 relationships. I go, I don't believe you.
How old is she?
She's 31,
Oh, damn.
right?
Wow.
And
That's not
And
that hard to
she's
believe.
still allowed to model?
well, she's an ex-model,
Yeah.
right? But she's absolutely beautiful.
That's
And I said, why is that? She goes, guys don't approach me.
Yeah.
Right? Because guys find that
They're
very
intimidated.
intimidated. But the chances are, like, you know, that's feedback from the horse's mouth. Like, the reality is, those sort of women aren't getting approached that much.
They're not. We had someone when we first started taping this podcast, I remember her coming on and she was just talking about how she's a very confident, successful woman. She's very attractive. No one never gets approached, ever.
Right.
And it does actually start hurting your self-esteem, because then you start, even though you can have that much confidence as a woman, you're going, am I maybe not what
Yeah,
men want? Or
right.
am I really not desirable? Or am I not putting out any sort of, am I not feminine? You know, like,
That,
women will start to
that's
question.
that's the thing right there. It's we're seeing a lot of alpha women
yeah.
out there right now, and because I'm helping women as well, right? I'm not shouting about that, but actually women are coming to me and I'm coaching them, and a lot of successful women. There was a woman that was the founder of one of the founders of Virgin Galactic actually, and her problem was that people find her intimidating. And I looked at her and we worked together, and I go, look, you actually come across very masculine. We need to work on bringing back your femininity. And it's like, I understand that you're very alpha in the workplace, but it doesn't mean you take that back into the family home and start pushing him around like he's an intern.
Yeah.
Because the man is then getting confused. He's thinking, well, what's my role here? You know, he's feeling emasculated. He's no longer being able, the guy is planning and, you know, doing all these things because she's kind of taking the lead. And then when she realizes that, go, why aren't you planning anything? He's already developed,
Right.
you know, being comfortable
He
because
knows
he's
that's not
used
his
to,
job.
like, yeah. So he's like, well, what the hell do I do here?
Right.
So, you know, it's not just all the men. You know, women need, those sort of powerful women really need to understand that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe crank it down just to make it easier on dudes as well.
Oh,
Like
yes.
crank down your, you know.
Yes, for
Just-
sure. But even you and I know that if somebody comes up to you and they're just like expecting you to lead the conversation, they're like,
That is
I did
wrong.
my high, and they're like,
Yeah.
come on,
That's
like, have
like when
some
someone
conversation.
calls you on the phone and they're like, hey.
And you're like,
And I'm
"Why
like,
did you
hey,
call?"
what's up? Like, you called me. They're
Yeah.
just like, not much.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
God,
I gotta go.
kidding
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Add into the conversation. So for
I
people
hate
who
that.
are listening,
I have friends that do that.
like how do you start the conversation that has you going into
I
a
gotta
space?
call you later.
Be like,
Hey.
hey, with a British accent, you'd be like, hi. But so how do you get that 3 minutes so that you can find out something interesting about this beautiful woman? Because for some guys who are listening, they're like, I don't even know how to find out something that could qualify her. That doesn't have to.
Okay, here's a big thing. Like, there's a mechanism that I teach, and it's just called challenge, right? And it's basically, you hear a bit of content that comes out of someone's mouth. So let's simplify things, right? Like, where's your accent from, right? And you're gonna say, oh, it's from California. And so I'm joining the dots in my head. I'm thinking, right, have I been to California? Can I relate to what you just said? Or am I absolutely pig ignorant about it and I don't know nothing? If you're pig ignorant, that's great, because you know what? You're going to challenge her and you're going to ask her, like, tell me 3 interesting places I should totally check out. And then she's going to be thinking, oh
How do
shit,
I
what do I,
invest in
oh okay, well, and then she's invested in that conversation, and then you're going to get more threads of conversation, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, as opposed to, oh, California, oh, okay, so,
That's
yeah,
cool.
where you
It's
going,
hot there.
right, and it's just,
Yeah.
you're just not getting away from the surface, and that's all you're going to have is a surface level conversation.
Well, also, I like that you said, and I mean, this can't apply all the time, but I like that you said, where's your accent from, rather than where are you from? Because I think where are you from is such a typical question, like blah, okay, whatever. But accent, all of a sudden, that can initiate a few different conversations.
Yeah.
No, but even where can you, the thing is that it doesn't really even matter what the question is that starts it off, it's what you do with it afterwards. So even if it is like a typical boring question, like, well, oh, where are you from? Then you can add your own spice, like even what Laurel was talking about in the last episode.
Totally,
like, yeah.
But I think like something like the accent thing, to me, it's a subconscious thing, and it is very minute, but it's like, he was listening to me.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah,
like
you thought you were from California.
Right, you know, oh no, I'm from the East Coast, God damn
But it doesn't matter if
Maybe
you're
that's
right,
our
it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. I just want a response.
Right,
I just want a
exactly.
response from you.
He wants something so that he can thread afterwards. Well, not just for like, and I know that you're not a pickup artist, but like I know that from a lot of people's point of views, like they're thinking pickup artists just want something to thread so I can use it to use NLP and anchor you in and manipulate you. It's not like that at all. You're just looking to find out more information. Like I like that you're using the term qualified, because then you're putting it back in your hands, as opposed to saying to a woman, like me, like me, like me, you're saying, okay, do I like you?
Well,
And I love starting her out in a 5, no matter what she, no matter how amazing or whatever.
Let me jump in, because here's something I really want to like put out there. It's like, instead of stepping out there and seeing if women approve of you, it's stepping out there and seeing if you approve of her.
Yeah.
Right. That's the flip that a lot of guys need to understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. So whether you are interacting with a 10, a 5, a model, a non-model, whatever it is putting it back into your point of view. Does this person fit into my lifestyle? Does this person?
It needs to be like, looks, okay,
time?
what else?
Yeah.
You know, that's normal. What else?
Yeah.
You know, what's the long-term qualities that, you know, this is going to be the mother of my children, for God's sake. You know, not just some bit of eye candy that I'm going to take to a restaurant and impress.
Or if it is some eye candy that you're going to take to a restaurant, then does she fit into that need for that evening? Is she going to be able to have conversation with other people around while I go have conversation with other people? So you have to figure out what the needs are for the night or for long term. Johnny, thank you so much for being on our show. How do people get in contact with you, find out more about you?
JohnnyCassell.com, that's the website. On Instagram, London Dating Coach, YouTube, just find me Johnny Cassell, Facebook.
How do you spell Cassell? I didn't rhyme on purpose there.
Cassell.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, and you can find Kirsten on her other podcast, Mentally Chill, and then also on.
And Marni was on an episode as well that you can listen to.
Was it
episode number 32?
Do people like it?
Yes, so far everyone said great things.
All 4 people.
And they called you Auntie Marni. I have a lot of listeners.
Yes, you do.
No, I mean I have some, but
Auntie, I like that.
yeah, because they call me mother, which is because.
But it's like auntie. That's it's a Hawaiian thing. When they call everybody auntie, it means like you're close.
You're like part of the fam.
Yeah.
You're
that's
Auntie
nice.
Marni.
I know that felt kind of nice when you said that to me. But new episodes of the Ask Women podcast come out every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Please don't be an idiot and download individual episodes. Please subscribe. It's just easier for you. It like pings and you can listen to it automatically.
And just for the record, on my Mentally Chill podcast, I have a Patreon page. So if you like me or anything that I do, you can subscribe on Patreon and support me, and it all goes toward my show. I'm trying to build it up. So Marni and I have this beautiful mic set up, all thanks to my Patreon donors.
Yes.
It's patreon.com/mentallychill, but now I have to slowly pay off the microphones
Right.
with the Patreon money coming in. But if you have been listening to Ask Women and you like me and you just want to continue to support me, please go there and do like a $2 donation a month.
What is it?
It's patreon.com/mentallychill.
Okay, perfect. Please share this episode with as many people as you can. We appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next week.
Money.
Oh yeah.